Right, let's get going. Not sure where the others are, but let's get going anyway. Yeah, I'm just doing a little scanning, came across this one. These guys are into business acquisition, and they've been as high as 10, and they're down here just under 6. So I thought that in actual fact, this week they've been as high as nearly 7. I'm guessing they're an AIM stock now. I'll tell you in a minute. Let me just go and look. I'll find out where they are listed. I'm not sure. Let me just double check. Earnings. Okay, I'll have to come back to you on this one, but it's an interesting stock, because if this pops up, where is everybody? If this can pop up, a strong platform down here. So if we can get above 7, that might go back to 10 at least. Obviously close under that 5.5, and then we're potentially coming down to 4. But anyway, it's a cheapie, and it's worth considering. Anyway, let's have a look at. Oops, let's get rid of that. Pfizer is struggling with that 40, but I am still in Pfizer. These guys are in property. No, not interested in that. Right, let's go to this one is interesting. It'd be as high as 115. Octopus volumes are not bad, not brilliant. Anyway, let's come out of that. Let's go to my normal program. Actually, before I do that, bear with me one moment. No, I'm walking out of this. Sorry, just right, just very quickly arrange this screen. Drag this daily chart over. Right, we've got oil on the screen anyway, so let's have a look at oil on this is a weekly chart. So oil is just very flat. Volumes beginning to pick up. Obviously US GDP tomorrow. So let's have a look at the US markets. Dow is, for a third week in a row, we are really flat. Just waiting on the data tomorrow, with the potential to pop up. Overall, we are just potentially a little bit extended here, a little bit too high. So we may, I think we need a good pullback to 32,000. So at least a couple of thousand off of this. So who knows, maybe tomorrow will bring that. Certainly no reason to short the market at this stage. Tech market, all the time the Nasdaq is picking up off this floor, then that bodes well for the overall market. So if we look at China, get an update on China. So China's had a really good burst. Let's go to the daily. So you can see this chart pattern here. If I pull back, so all these lows down here in April have been bought, and now we've had 2 really strong days, flat today. So that's potentially what could happen to this market. And so we're right on the edge with this Dow. If we start closing under 34, then this market, then the pullback is potentially going to be in play. So Chinese market is perking up after a long period of consolidation. Let's have a look at the DAX, just sitting close to the highs. Let's look at the FTSE, just in this little pinch pattern as well. So it's holding up, certainly no reason to sell. Potentially a bullish consolidation. A bullish consolidation that's gone flat normally needs a dip before it will push up again. So we might dip to 69.50, might dip a little lower, who knows. But holding up nonetheless. Gold is above 1920. Ooh. So we are somewhat disconnected up here, but hey, all the time it sits up, it can go higher. Silver, not as bullish, struggling at 28. But if we close above this 28, I think we'll get to 30 pretty quick. The one that interests me is wheat. I think this wheat is a buy. So I'll be looking at some wheat ETFs to try and capture that move. I think that, let's put some fibs on that. So this last big move, yeah, so we could come a little lower, 630. Maybe closer to 6. But on the face of it, last time we had a decent dip down here in March at 593, we went to 770. So it's nice and volatile. 630 or 6 would be better, but it looks good. Let's have a look at Apple. Apple's struggling here. Apple's, if it can't hold this 125, then we could see a sharper pullback to 120. That is not happy. Sorry, I forgot to look at the dollar. The dollar, okay, ahead of the GDP number, potentially getting a bounce in the dollar and the bonds. So this is healthy. If the bonds can hold up, that bodes well. If they start to fall off and yields go up, that's when the markets tend to get jittery. So all the time we're sitting up, that is healthy for the financial markets and sustainability of these markets. Right, let's have a look at the... So overall, markets are doing all right. Even M&S put in a loss, but they talked about closing 30 stores, talked about strengthening their online presence, and the market obviously likes that. That's broken out. Any pullbacks to 165 is potentially viable. It's broken up on volume, so that is really good. Let's have a look at the Vectura that we talked about in the room. See that we had increase in volumes before this broke out. Actually, volumes wasn't massive, was it? Okay, on my other platform it showed better volume than that. Certainly it was holding up, making higher lows and higher highs. Struggling. It's been looks as if the market's been waiting for this. So Monday's close was significant. Closing above this March 19th high was significant. Held that range on Tuesday, and now we get the pop. And it's sitting right up in close to that 185 resistance. But who knows? Yeah, maybe that can just keep going. It certainly held steady today, so let's see. And let's move over to, let's have a quick look at everything's holding up. BT, Lloyd's, Rolls, everything is holding up. Right, let me just go back through my list. Let's look at Abbott's. I like this. Look at the volume increase down here. That's a very steady buying volume. So if we can hold this, as long as we don't close under 115, I think I can go back to 130 plus, at which point that might break out. So I think Abbott's is a good one. Got another, some more from my scans. Can't find the UK listing. I'm going to leave that one alone. That's on my watch list. Rock Hub is on my watch list, but I'm going to leave that alone for now. Yeah, I think this one is interesting. This is Argo blockchain. And that 127 is holding. I think based on volume and then the price you see for this one, I think this is definitely, this is something that I would invest in. To only pull back into 140. If we can start closing above 150, I think we can start working our way back to those highs. So I like ARB very much. Fury is one I've talked about ages ago. Just need to do an update on this because I think it's doing well now. Yeah, this is a cheapy gold miner. It's down there at 117. I think any pullbacks to 130 are still viable, with a prospect of getting back to you know, closer to $2 plus. Nice cheapie. I think that's well worth. That's a punt. Let's look at IQE. Yeah, volumes are okay. You can see we've hit an average and struggle with that average. That's the 10 days, is that right? 10. Yeah. Yeah, it must be the 20. Yeah, we've hit the 20, and that's closed higher, but it's marginal. I think this is a speculative stock, and it's really struggling at the moment. But so I think, yeah, I said earlier in the week you might see 48, 49 in that one. So overall, markets are holding up, not going anywhere. A lot of sideways action at the moment, obviously it's a quieter time of the year. Stocks are healthy. Let's look at EasyJet. Flat, but just not got any oomph. Let's look at ABF. Well, that's a good close on volume. So 23.25 could take us back to 25 plus. That's still not, that's got a gap to fill at 26. So I think that this Associated British Foods looks good for a pullback. Otherwise, ooh, that's pulled back to decent support. That's been up there 172. That's on the watch list. I wouldn't buy that at this stage until I saw some decent buy volume come in on that. That needs to go on my list. That's all I'm gonna. So I'm gonna keep this nice and short. That's all I'm gonna look at this stage. Unless you want me to look at anything else. Yeah, so so that's the result of my scanning. Struggling to find some really good stocks at the moment, but I will keep scanning. What else is on my list? Currencies, okay. But all our normal stocks are doing all right. Nothing to report on them. I'll just give another visual check before I look at currencies. There's a couple others here. Yeah, let's look at these Chinese stocks. Let's get an update on Baidu. This is the Chinese Google. On the NASDAQ. That's certainly got a bottoming pattern there. That 177 appears to have been bought. Volumes are beginning to get better. I think that's a buy for 190 to see if we can start to at least wind up to 280. I certainly think it's worth dipping into that. It is a concern, the fact that we're not getting any significant higher closes here. So I certainly would, I would sort of scale in rather than take a full position. I would, at this stage, I'm still cautious because highs are selling on this. But if we can close above this 200, then I think we can at least start to get back to 275 on that one, on Baidu. So let me add that one. What's the other one I was talking about? The ZTO, yeah. ZTO. Not, volumes are good. At the moment, this is just a pullback into 31.70. It's a potential buy level here. Obviously, we need to close higher, but I think this one, that's the main support, 30.80. Good substantial close yesterday at 32.25. Could come back to that 30 again. Volumes are not consistent. Seems to be firing up and pulling back and firing up and pulling back at the moment. So it may well want to come back into this 30 area. I think I would suggest holding out on that one. Right. Let me just make sure there's no other UK ones. Let's look at HSBC holding up. Aviva is pulling back. Let's have a look at Rightmove. Bit of a scrappy stock. Let's look at EasyJet's under those averages. So that is struggling. Barclays holding 180. What else have I got? Polymetal sitting right up at those highs. So any pullback to 1650, 55, if it does, I'm not saying it is going to pull back. It's sitting up there well, doing okay. Pan African keeps going higher. So this is what POG is reacting now. We'll look at POG in a second. But yeah, that's a sweet move off of this 1540. That's doing very well. Volume is picking up as well because gold is sustaining the highs really well at the moment. Kinross, that's sitting up. Griffin, volume has just fallen out of that one. Really poor volume. And Fresnillo is not great, but that's beginning to pick up as well. Fresnillo might be about to go higher. And POG. So POG keeps lifting its head and getting hammered down. Volumes have improved over the last couple of days. So there are, but that's a really messy chart. If we can come back to 25 and hold at some stage soon in the next we need to close above 27 in the next few days, I think. Because if at some stage in the next couple of days we close on the 24, this is not going to do it. So the jury is well and truly out on that one. What else do I want to look at? Let's get my other Reckitt's holding up Informer. It's not really going anywhere. It's not been going anywhere ever since this big poke higher on the 9th. Well, I say that. I mean, it was a good. This pullback in January did well. May need another test of that 500. AstraZeneca has been on a really good run and seen a little bit of profit taking up there. Oh, this is one, yeah. Now, this one's got to go back on my list. So at the low end of the channel here, that's pretty impressive. Volumes are good, not brilliant. But I think that is well worth. If you can pick up 48 at some stage soon, close above 50.50, I think we can get back to those highs and maybe beyond this time. It's come a long way, isn't it? Wow, yeah, it's come a very long way. Might just be a little too expensive. I have to do a bit more research on that one. Let's look at Pfizer. Yeah, you can see the 41, 42 was a sticking point with this one anyway. So it's possible that could come all the way back to 36, 37. Yeah, volumes are not great. Let's look at this Fury I've talked about. It's a US gold miner. You can see the volumes are getting good. The volumes are getting better. Whoops. I'm sure we're going to see some deeper pullbacks before this gets going, but you might just wake up one day and find this was popped up. At least that's what I'm hoping for, obviously. Yeah, but all the time we can stay above this 1.4, we got the prospect of going back to 1.8 plus on that one. Nice little cheapie. Do you guys like cheapie stocks? That's a good move in Sage. Wow. And you still, I guess you're still in this. That's a really sweet three-wave move here. Yeah. So it looks as if we can get up to that 7. This current wave has not gone the same distance as the last wave. So the last wave, if we get the same equal distance, that takes you up, yeah, that takes you up to that 7 mark. If we go the same distance as this last March wave. What's your target on that? have a look at Rent-A-Kill while you're answering me. Not that pretty a picture, but have a look. It's got all that support down there. Struggling, it's made a higher low up here at 525. What do you guys think of Rent-A-Kill? Back to 750, okay. I think I think Rent-A-Kill might come all the way back to 450, 460. At which point, I think that might be a buy. Saw a lot of volume on there on the 20th, but we've got a gap, a glaring gap at 470. Right. Thanks very much. Currencies. I'll have a quick look at currencies and then I'm going to disappear. Pound. Close to this resistance. If the market, money supermarket, yeah, okay. So at the moment, we're sitting up. So if we're that bullish, I would have thought we'd come back to 140. And if we can then power through 142, that can really get going. Otherwise, if we keep closing lower, then 140 might not hold. And the pound yen's been doing well. I'll come to money supermarket in a second. The same story, sitting up. The euro had a good run, and now we've got, that's a sell signal. Pure and simple, that is a daily sell signal. New high in the range, immediate close lower. So any pullbacks to 122.20 with a stop above 122.80, I think that could start to wind back to 120. And euro yen certainly struggling up there as well. Right, let's look at MONY and then I'll zip off. I actually saw doing a scan on this, and this one came up on the bit of software showing as a sell. Just goes to show it's certainly, that's a very impressive close today. Very impressive. So technically 265, 270 is a buy to see if we can get to that 285 plus. I think that looks fine. I think that looks good. Obviously, I'm going to be very concerned if that closed under 260. But it ticks enough boxes for me to hold that. And we're in a squeeze. So basically, whichever way we close outside of this current, well, even the daily range, but whichever way we close outside of this weekly range, 250 to 275, that's going to tell you whether that's got potential to go higher or lower. But at the moment, I still think that is a good candidate to go to 275, £3. All right, thanks for joining me, guys. I will post, get more active in the room, and if I see anything else, I will let you know. but I'll leave it there, and I'll catch up with you on. Actually, it's a long weekend, isn't it? Let's do it. Let me think. I'll stick to 6 o'clock Sunday because otherwise it'll involve a lot of faff. Let's stick to 6 o'clock on Sunday. All right, thanks guys. See you later. Bye.